Now to the Israel-Hamas war. Today marks 6 months since the war began, and families of the more than 100 hostages still being held in Gaza are pleading for their return. This comes as Israel announced their special forces recovered the body of 47-year-old Elad Katzir, who was killed while being held in Gaza. The families of the hostages are now calling for major rallies across Israel to mark 6 months since that first attack. Shortly after October 7th, we spoke to a South Florida woman who lives in Israel. She was desperately trying to get a flight out, rockets constantly flying overhead. 6 months later, she is back in Israel and says there is still fear about what's to come.
So that feeling 6 months later is still very much there in the fact that you might hear a motorcycle or a truck coming down the street and your heart just kind of races just for a second because you're not sure in that half a second, is that an incoming rocket or is that just a car? So
Brooke, who you heard from there, she left Israel for 2.5 months, came back to South Florida after the war started, and only went back to Israel when she felt it was safe enough to do so. She says Israel is such a small country and everyone knows someone who is worried about a loved one who is still a hostage.
It's not just sad, but it's disappointing. At this point, it's 6 months, and for us to feel that our government isn't able to help bring these people home, it's a really terrifying feeling, because what if that was you? It is important for Israelis that not just Jewish people, but Arabs as well can live in peace. We want everyone to be feeling okay at home and that they have a home. And it is really terrible to see that people are out of homes at the moment, whether it's in Israel, in Gaza, et cetera. And we only hope for peace and a sense of understanding between the two communities after this.
The Hamas-run health ministry says the death toll in Gaza now stands at more than 33,000. Last week, there was global outrage over an Israeli attack on a World Central Kitchen humanitarian convoy traveling in Gaza. We know 7 aid workers were killed.